Hello, Montgomery County. This is Brandon Langer with the Office of Organizational and Professional Learning. I'm the Program Administrator for Instructional Technology, and this is Talking EdTech with MCIU, an opportunity to sit down with various thought leaders, product vendors in the space of educational technology, and really take a deep look at what's going on and how we're improving classroom instruction and learning opportunities for students using technology. Today, I'm excited because we're circling back around to one of my favorite companies and products, and that is Learning A-Z. And I'm very excited to be joined by Jennifer Kulik today to discuss a new offering, as well as just kind of take a look at where this space of educational technology is going in the areas of English language arts and literacy, and reading. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining me.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm excited to be here.
Can you just give us you've actually been here. You're the first one to come back and come back to the Talking EdTech conversation. But can you just give us a little background as to your role with Learning A-Z and what you do?
Sure. So I am a national curriculum consultant with Learning A-Z, and I support schools, districts, and states across the nation with making decisions on literacy curriculum. Before Learning A-Z, I was a former educator and administrator in both public and charter schools. So, and I hold a background of special education. I've worked in the K-12 space from literally every grade level. And so I'm excited to share those perspectives and be able to support school districts because I have had a pretty close personal focus on literacy instruction my entire career, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
And Jennifer, one of the things that I love whenever we get a chance to speak is I always leave learning something new. I always get a new perspective on a product that I've known for some time, and Learning A-Z is something that is not new to MCIU. We have a long-standing partnership with Learning A-Z as we've offered consortium bundles and wrapped a number of these products together to get as many students and teachers hands-on access to this great product. I know today we're going to take a look at a new product. As you can see, they're called Foundations A-Z. But when you look at the landscape, the problems and supports that Learning A-Z has been working to bring into our classrooms, what stands out to you? What are those areas that we're trying to improve access for?
Sure. Well, we've always been committed to trying to meet teachers and students where they are, which is why we have offered a host of different resources that are very popular in the market: Raz-Plus, writing, science, Headsprout, vocabulary A-Z. All of these resources are really meant to increase access in the classroom and outside of the classroom, access for different populations of students, as well as really support teachers with easy to use, research-based, standardized materials. And I think it's very much served us well in the market up to this day. What has happened most recently is that our nation is taking a really close look at the data. And starting in 2019, there were some pretty significant national assessment results that came to light that forced us to take a hard look at how we were teaching literacy in the classroom. And more recently, those same assessments revealed the largest drop in reading achievement since the 1980s. And so now is the time where you're going to start hearing schools, districts, and states that are demanding something different. They're demanding us to take a look at the research. They're demanding us to take a look at what we have out there to identify market needs. How do the current products that are offered across the country aligning to what the research tells us? And also, it's always important, and this is something that Learning A-Z has always been committed to listen to the teachers, to listen to the people on the ground level that are forced to implement these changes that are happening for their students and for them as teachers. And so that's what we've done. Learning A-Z looked at the research, we listened to the market, and we listened to the teachers. And that's where we have arrived today in creating a brand new product that we are so excited to share with our nation that is going to cover those three areas.
Yeah, and I love a number of things that you said. And if you didn't get a chance to watch our previous video that we did with Learning A-Z, it was about a year ago. But I'll link it in the description so you can go check that out, as we did a deep dive of research into what that product, Raz-Plus, Raz-Kids, all that. It just continues to be impressive how deep it is. And then when we met about a month or two ago, and you showed me what we're about to look at here with foundations, it struck me in a couple ways, and I know you're going to get into this in a second, but the same depth is there even with a new product. Often when we launch new products, they start in one place and they continue to build out and grow. But what I saw from ground zero in terms of where we were with this product, it was extremely impressive. And to your point about aligning to research, I think that's everything that districts are going to be needing moving forward. And specifically, if you haven't had a chance to really poke around Learning A to Z, here's the website. Go investigate, go see what's already there. And then what we're going to do right now is pivot into a part two of this conversation, where we start looking at how Learning A to Z is building from the ground up with a new product that is already ready to deploy and pretty robust. So, Jennifer, what stands out about this product? Where do you take people on day one, and what's exciting for all of you to share?
So what you're looking at here is a program that was created that is research-based, offers explicit, systematic, multi-sensory instruction for students. And we have built this program on the science of reading. The science of reading really lays out the landscape for all of these pieces. And so when we took a look at that research and we saw the need and we saw what has shown to be successful for students, what is the best chance that students have at becoming skilled readers, it revealed that explicit, systematic, multisensory instruction. And so Learning A to Z said, it's time for us to create a program that if teachers want to use this as a complete foundational skills curriculum, they can. And we've created that for not only K1, 2, and 3, which is where most of the market has focused on up until now, but we created a K through 5 foundational skills curriculum that is comprehensive. Teachers and students can pick this up from day one and follow it for a complete year-long curriculum if they so choose. And what you're also going to find in this program, and I'm starting here on our landing page before I would even log in, and I always like to scroll through here because there is so much information that you can learn about this product right from the landing page before you log in. And I encourage anyone who's viewing this today to jump on here, listen to the videos, listen to the testimonials, walk through the product from a teacher perspective, from a student perspective, click into some of these links, and really learn more about what we've done here, because I think you're going to be so excited to see that not only have we created something that is going to be engaging and powerful for students, but we've done this with teachers in mind. And again, that is something that Learning A to Z has always built every one of their products around, is how is this going to be easy and supportive for the teacher? And that is one of the big challenges out there in the market right now, is that teachers are overwhelmed. They're feeling a little uncertain about this change in the way that they need to teach literacy. And so if they're going to be adopting a new program, they need a program that's going to help them. It's going to walk them through it. Not only are they getting training outside of these curriculum resources that they're using, training on how to teach systematic phonics instruction, but then they need a resource that is also going to guide them through and not add time and stress to their plate. So that's what you have here. You have a product that is going to be giving you everything that you need all in one location. You don't have to go to different places to get what you need. Teachers are going to have step-by-step explicit instruction and support embedded along the way. And students are going to get a really engaging and fun program that can be implemented both in the classroom and in a digital learning environment. So I'm really excited to jump in here and show you this product today.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, let's go ahead and take a dive in, because I think the impressive part when I took a peek at this earlier, or midsummer, late summer, was it wasn't just one way for teachers to use this product. It wasn't just one philosophy for teachers and administrators to use this product. and that it can really be leveraged in what I will say a more traditional learning A to Z manner. And then also one step farther, which is what you alluded to, a deeper from, foundational skills perspective. You can start here. You can move forward through this platform in a way that I don't know that Raz or another product has from your portfolio thus far. And that was really exciting to me as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That is another area that we really took a hard look at, because we realized that not all schools are going to need and want to use us in the same way. And something that Learning A to Z has always done really well is, as I mentioned before, meeting teachers where they are, understanding that not everyone uses things just one way. And so we thought that it was important to create a program that allowed flexibility within a structured learning environment. And to do that, what we did was we created several different pathways for using this product. So one of the pathways is through this lesson plan pathway at the top. And this is where we are really following that explicit, systematic, cumulative instruction, where if you are the science of reading and you want to use this as your complete foundational skills curriculum, we have done it, and you're going to find it in this lesson plan pathway here that we're going to click into in just a minute. But we also recognize that teachers and schools may be using other programs out there. They may have another foundational skills program that they're using first and foremost. And as we know, many programs need a supplement to their curriculum. And so in knowing that need, we also created a way for teachers to pick and choose specific resources based off of skill, standard, resource topics, as well as correlations to other assessments and reading series, so that they can use this as a supplement to their current foundational skills curriculum. And I think that's something that has really piqued the interest of a lot of schools out there to say, we're not trying to fit them into one mode of teaching. We're not forcing them to use this in just one way. We definitely have a recommended way, and we're excited to talk to you about that and show you that. But we've also given you some flexibility, not only to use this as a complement to another curriculum, but to differentiate your instruction, right? Because there's whole class instruction that follows that explicit systematic. And then you've got that small group time, that one-on-one learning, the students that need enrichment and reteaching. And we really made sure that we created a program that supported that differentiated instruction as well as that explicit systematic instruction. So let's take a look here. If I click into lesson plans, this is where you will have access to all 5 grade levels, K through 5. And the first thing that you'll notice is that teachers have access to their scope and sequence. Now, we're going to take a look at a grade 1 example today, and let's start this conversation with that scope and sequence. What I want you to notice here is that we are covering all of those strands of literacy learning from day 1, lesson 1, in connection together. So skills aren't taught in isolation. They are taught together, and they are interwoven throughout. And we've also created a year-long curriculum that follows a simple to complex model. And so you can see here how the skills are building upon each other and really increasing in rigor and complexity as you go. Not only will teachers have a scope and sequence to follow, but we also have a breakdown that we just came out with where they can take a look at step-by-step unit and modules, the phonics patterns, the high frequency words, the decodable books, just to give them a better way to align what they're doing in the classroom with what we've created here. So lots of opportunity to blend those curriculums together if needed. Now, I showed you a grade 1, but let's also take a quick look at a grade 4 because I want you to see that those differences happen. Now we're getting into phonics, high frequency words, fluency, word study and language connection is that big one that comes into play, grades 3 through 5. Many people don't have it, and if they do, it's not systematic, explicit, and cumulative. This program does it for you. And so let's show you how this scope and sequence comes to life. What teachers are going to get are 8 units of instruction. Within each unit, you're going to have 4 modules of learning. Now, before I even go any further, I want to point out that every unit and module starts with a focus question. And that focus question is playing on that initiative for knowledge-based learning. You're going to find concepts from across the curriculum in every single unit here. This one focuses on art, but we've got science, we've got social studies, we have math, we have social and emotional learning. Every unit has its own dedicated knowledge base that students are built upon. And it's reflected in the text that students receive throughout these lesson plans. Within every module, you're going to have 5 lesson plans. And what I want to point out here is that we've also listened to the research in that students need time to practice and review. And so every single module, each lesson is going to have a spiral review built in throughout, from lesson to lesson, opportunities for practice and review. So what I also want you to notice here is that the first 3 modules of every unit are new learning for students. And the 4th module is going to serve as a review of those first 3 modules. And not only that, at the last lesson of that 4th module, students are going to have an end of unit assessment that can be implemented either digitally or in the classroom. So really taking a strong intention here for practice and review for students so that they are ready to move on to that next step from lesson to lesson, module to module, unit to unit.
And I just want to call out, to break that down in a very simple, because you just gave us an articulate of how this is structured. And I said this at the beginning, just how this is so much more to me in terms of from ground up versus some of the other Raz-Plus products from a standpoint of, you just articulated, I have a unit, I have 4 modules, I have 5 lessons within each of those modules. To your point before, you can go explicitly step by step as aligns to the research and practices of foundational skills, right? Or we can target specifically within each of those. We're not married to one or the other, which I think is a great feature of this product. But then what you just pointed out in module 4, again, every single time is going to be a summary of my previous 3 modules. And when I say structurally, it just feels more complete, more comprehensive. That's one of the examples that I'm seeing from day one with this product that is really exciting. And then the ability for, you were talking about how you, functionally like to meet teachers' needs. Teachers speak very highly of the Raz products, of the Learning A-Z products. This is not on another island from that, right? We can find life in the whole universe and have them working symbiotically together. And I think that that's exciting too. So when we look at like an individual lesson, I'm sorry if you weren't going to go here next, but it's kind of a question. Oh, I just love to show people, we've talked about organizationally the depth and all of that. It's very well thought out. But then you actually go look at a lesson, and it's like, oh, wow, it is really just laid out. And you mentioned, teacher needs, teacher supports. This is laying it out very clearly for them, whether you're a 25-year veteran teacher or a year 2, you made your way back after year 1.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was going next. These lesson plans are just phenomenal. And I want to call out what I mentioned earlier. Here is where you are going to find that organization where everything is in one place. And I love this for teachers. So many programs out there require a manual and a student activity book and other student materials over here and teacher materials over here. And that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is going to save you so much time. It's going to be so easy to use when you see how we navigate through each lesson plan. So every lesson, you're going to see these consistencies. Right from the get-go, you have your standards alignment that you can access by state. You're going to have the ability to print this lesson plan, present resources on a whiteboard, or you can assign resources to students right from here. And at the beginning, you've got all of your teacher and student objectives, as well as all of your materials for your teachers and your students. And I like to call out here that even if you are using this program as a complement to your current foundational skills curriculum, you can still benefit from the lesson plan pathway. Number one, you have it available to you if you have Foundations A to Z. So whether you use this or not, it's there for you. But number two, you can right from here, if you know the skill that you're working on, for example, if you know that you're working on long E digraph, or you've got a small group or one student that needs some extra support on long E digraph, you can pop into this lesson plan and have access to all of the resources that we would recommend that go with those lessons. And so here's your first opportunity to supplement using that lesson plan pathway. You can click into a shared reader and download it or assign it or put it up on the projectable. You can grab an image card or high frequency words, grapheme cards, whatever it is that you need. But that's not how we hope you'll use this lesson plan. What we hope you'll do is scroll down to the cells down below where you will see that we are following that gradual release of responsibility model. And every lesson plan is going to have these drop-down cells that give you everything that you need for every step of the lesson. So if I click into set the stage, you know, this is the area where you're priming that brain for learning, you're activating prior knowledge. Right away, you're going to see materials at point of use. You're going to see explicit step-by-step instructions. And not only that, we have a sample dialogue that takes that even one step further for teachers. If you want really specific language on what to say and do with your students, you can, if you want, click on that sample dialogue, and it's really going to spell it out for you. We also have culturally responsive tips, teaching tips, ELL tips, right at point of use when you would want to use that with your students. Those tips, the sample dialogue, the explicit instructions are always going to be there for you every step of this lesson plan. So now we're in the I do, and you're going to notice that scope and sequence coming to life. You've got your phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words. It's building on top of each other within each step of this lesson plan. You're going to notice those resources embedded right at point of use, continued sample dialogue, continued teacher tips. And let's not forget, I called out that opportunity to practice, check for understanding, and give corrective feedback. Make sure your students are ready to move on to that next step before you move on. Every step here, practice, collaborative practice, check for understanding. In the fluency section, collaborative practice, check for understanding. It's always going to be there for you. So the I do section has that more teacher-directed area, and then the we do section gets into more collaborative practice, partner work. This is where your multisensory learning is really going to come into play. Again, same consistencies are here for you throughout.
And as you go, you know, you're clicking, you're scrolling through, I just want to call back the structure, units, modules, lesson. We are looking at one lesson here.
Yeah.
So there's a comprehensive set of resources, instructions, teacher tips, and, you know, the sample dialogues. That is per lesson. So we said there's 5 lessons per module. You're starting to see the just sheer quantity of content. And the best part is, from my perspective, you've picked a format and it's universal across the whole product. A lot of times you'll get into deep products, but then, you know, the 3rd grade's slightly different from the 5th grade or that kind of thing, you know, in terms of how it's organized. At this point, once you're in this product, you're living it, it's going to feel familiar very quickly, which I think is another thing that sometimes overburdens teachers when we try to get them on new products, you know, things that we're trying to infuse into the classroom. Just becoming familiar with the environment is a struggle. Jen, can you speak at all about the student environment and what their, you know, what their experience is going to be like, maybe comparatively or similarly to other products? I didn't know if we plan to look at that today or not, but if nothing else we could share about it, that'd be great.
Yeah, you're leading me right to where I was going, and it brings us to it brings us to the next part of this lesson plan, which is the you do section. The you do section is a completely online learning and practice for students. And so when we talk about what does that learning environment look like for students, we're thinking here that the I do and the we do pieces are happening in the classroom with that teacher. You never want to remove the teacher from that position where they're able to support students, guide their learning, make sure that they're ready for that independent practice. But then when you get into the you do, what we've created here is short instructional student videos that review the skills that were taught in the I do and the we do, followed by varied practice opportunities where they get to practice those skills that they were just taught. And what I love about these are, I like to think of these videos as a couple of different options. You can front load your content, your teaching. You can get that double dose of learning for students that need to hear it again, see it from a different perspective. These videos come, and we're going to look at one in a later session. They come with these fun, engaging mascots that guide students in their learning, ask them questions while they're teaching them, give pause for students to take in the information that is being told to them. They get them involved in these videos. They're not just sitting and watching. And these videos build in complexity as well. So it starts off with a simple concept and it builds that long E into a word, and then they build that word into a sentence, and so on and so on. So it's covering multiple strands of foundational skills. It's building in complexity, and it really gets students ready for that practice environment. The you do section varies depending on the lesson plan. So this one, as you can see, comes with pronunciation video support. But if we were in lesson 3, for example, now you're going to be ready for that decodable book. So you've got a decodable that's included in the online environment. It just depends on the lesson plan. And then every lesson finishes with that closure and that reteach, where students are getting opportunities to practice writing, they're reviewing and reflecting on the lesson, and teachers have that opportunity to really differentiate their instruction with anything they could possibly need. Every single strand of learning here is supported with additional resources for the reteach as well as the enrich. Did you have any other questions about the lesson plan or the student experience? Did you want me to click in now, or do you want to wait for that sort of overall student view?
Yeah, I think we can look at it when we get the student view. And again, I keep coming back to just how comprehensive it is, both from a planning, but then what we're going to look at here in a second. And if we want to head over there now, we can. But what we're getting as we dig into the student side is an actual experiential component, and it actually models to me one of the struggles. Again, my master's in curriculum instruction as well, and one of the struggles and one of the things that we talked a lot about as leaders, we talk a lot about with teachers, is that you buy a product, and then there's the experiential actual implementation side of it, and the teacher's still stuck building this bridge from one to the other, where it's like all the ideas of what to do are over here, and then they give you some stuff, but then the teacher's still stuck connecting it. This does that naturally from my view.
Absolutely. And that's a good moment to call something else out here. We're talking a lot about how teachers are supported within these lesson plans and the different consistent pieces that they're going to have available to them, where there's no guessing, there's no added time in learning how to do this. They're taught right in the moment how to do it. But we have also, in thinking about the science of reading and thinking about this shift in how to teach phonics instruction, this program is also going to include a professional development area where teachers are going to have access to research-based short videos, articles, and we even created a podcast of all things teaching foundational skills. And I can't stress enough how engaging and relevant and digestible these pieces are. Teachers can search by those 3 different areas, but if I scroll through here, you'll see we have put into practice videos, we have learned from the experts videos, and looking at some of these titles, you're going to know that we've really put that science of reading hat on and addressed what might teachers need from a learning standpoint on how to support them as teachers in the classroom. If I even click into an article here. We were talking about knowledge-based learning. If I click on knowledge building, you'll see how clearly and digestible this article lays out the what, the why, the how. We look into the strands of learning. We've attached a connecting video that we've created on building knowledge. What is knowledge building? I'm just really excited for teachers to have this available to them on top of the support that's offered in those lesson plans.
Yep, absolutely. And even that has grown since last we talked.
Yes, and it's growing by the day. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So the other thing that I just want to wrap back to kind of round this session off is that we talked a lot about that explicit systematic pathway, but I do want to just nod to the opportunity to pick and choose resources based off of your specific needs in your classroom. And if I click into any one of these here, for example, you can, if you have the known skill needs of your students, or you know the skill that you're addressing in class that day, phonics, phonological awareness, fluency, and if you click on these drop downs, you'll have additional filtering options to really get very specific on what you need. That will give you an option, that will give you a library of all the resources within this program that we offer. And from there, teachers can wrap back to those lesson plans. They can access all of the books for students that speak to those specific skills. They can take advantage of the instructional videos for students, the practice opportunities, as well as additional resources, and then of course that professional development area. Similarly, if they want to find resources by their state standards, they can go through here, click into their state, and access those standards, and it's going to give you resources that align. If you want a resource by that actual topic, so maybe you're looking for a decodable book, or you're looking for a end of unit assessment, or you want a reflection paper or a shared reader, all you have to do is click into this link, access your grade level, and you will be presented with all of the resources right at your fingertips. What I love about our resources, decodables, for example, they are brand new, and they have really, what you're going to see here are titles and illustrations from across the curriculum, content from across the curriculum. You're going to see different cultures represented in these decodables. Students are going to see themselves in these texts. And what's even better is that if you click into any one of these, let's try that again. What's even better is that if you click into any one of these, teachers are going to have really great information on how to use this decodable book. So not only will you get a decodability percentage, but you're going to know the new target skill that's being addressed here, as well as the previous target that students would have need, the skills they need to be able to show up to this decodable. So thinking about needing to go back for review and practice and reteaching, this might be a good place to guide teachers on how to really get students to benefit from each of those decodable books. And students are presented with a really vibrant illustrations, authentic language, authentic pictures. They're immersed in a storyline here with a decodable book. And teachers are checking off that decodable skill. And that's what I love most about these resources, is that they're very engaging and that they provide that authentic language for students, those relevant real topics that they're going to be addressing and bringing in background knowledge from the real world. So that's an example of a decodable book. If we head back over to the Find Resources By area, the last link to look at is the correlation section. And we just released this product in July. So I want to preface this by saying this area is definitely building right now. We are going to be adding curriculum and assessments to this each month. But right now, we have direct correlations to Amplify CKLA. We have direct correlations to letters, DIBELS, and NWEA. So again, teachers can really drill down into the specific needs that they have based off of the curricula or the assessments that they're implementing in the classroom. And that's just another way to find resources exactly what you need in the moment at the day that you need it for. So that is our find resources by area, where you can really think about supplementing with the curriculum that you already have in your classroom.
One of the things that I just keep coming back to with this is the ability for a teacher to utilize it and leverage it in many different ways. As we kind of talked about there's multiple ways to access the same content. It's laid out in a clear linear fashion that is usable by anybody at any level. But on the flip side, if you are embedded in it and using a different core product and viewing this more supplemental, the fact it is laid out that way makes it even easier to find what you're looking for on a basis. And as you said, with those alignments coming down the pike, it's just going to be even more useful. I think one of the pieces that I don't want to ignore is the student experience, because as I was just mentioning before, there's this connection between curriculum and then the student experience. Teachers play the bridge, but this just does that for us. It just connects students to learning, and in a very organized way, but students aren't bogged down in all that teacher talk, right? They're just learning. They're just in a platform that is giving them a positive learning experience.
Yeah, so let's head over and I'll show you around what that student experience looks like. So I'm logging into Kids A-Z, and I want you to notice that if you have any of our other products, you're logging into the same system. It's one login, not logging into Foundations and then logging into the Reading Planet. You get to log in one time and you can jump back and forth between planets. If you have Foundations, you'll click on your Foundations spaceship. And here, students are going to have two different pathways, right? You have a main quest and you have a side quest. The main quest is that area where teachers would have assigned that you do pathway from the lesson plan. So students will get a sequence, set of an instructional video followed by those practice opportunities. Now, if teachers then want to individualize their instruction, anything that they would have assigned through the find resources by area, that's going to show up in the side quest. And I love that. I love that you could consider the main quest as more of a whole class instruction, and then you can further differentiate with individual resources in that side quest. Furthermore, maybe you just want your students to have the video, or you just want them to practice identifying beginning blends. You can, of course, as we showed you earlier, grab that specific resource and assign it to your students. And that's going to, again, show up in that side quest area. So let's take a look at an example video, and I'll take you through a practice opportunity. So this is a higher level. I believe it's a grade 4 or a grade 3. We're working on Greek message roots faun and path.
Hi, archaeologists. Let's dig into some words to discover their Greek roots. These words share a Greek root.
And what I want you to notice here as we skim through this video is how he builds in complexity, how he engages with students, and the fun visual connecting ideas and concepts that help students relate their learning to what's going on here.
Dig into each word and point to the common letters. P-H-O-N, the Greek root faun. Nice. Now think about the meanings of these words. What's something they all have in common? They all have something to do with sound. Remember, faun means sound. It has to do with sound. Graph means to write, so phonograph means to write sounds. A phonograph is a device that is used to play music written on a circular piece of words share.
Now he's getting into path.
P-A-T-H, the Greek root path. Awesome. Path means feel. Let's look closely at this word. That antipathy means
now he's going to break the word into parts.
Now let's look at sympathy. Identify the prefix, the root, and the suffix.
So
I means an instance of something. So what
sentence.
does sympathy mean? Sympathy for them. Use your knowledge to spell telepathic. Break it into word parts and then spell it. T-E-L-E-P-A-T-H. Advisor 2. Help me with this paragraph.
Now he's going to do
Read
a
it
quick
with me.
grammar.
Our tour guide was using a
So
microphone.
combine these
It
sentences.
was not working. I felt sympathetic. Which two sentences can I combine? I can combine these sentences because they are both about the microphone not working. The conjunction but works because I'm making a contrast.
And
We
then
also
he'll finish this
because
off
I
with
have
doing
had
some
problems with
comparative
technology.
sentences.
Or, I felt sympathetic and the Greek ruins were very revision together. Our tour guide was using a microphone, but it had revisions.
You can see how
Ciao!
he really builds in complexity and takes students through that entire process, covering multiple strands of learning along the way. Now, after a student would watch that instructional video, then they would have options to practice. So let's take a look at an example practice opportunity. So what I'm going to do here is I'll have to calibrate my voice. And that's because Learning A to Z, within this program, we've created a voice recognition software tool that is going to allow teachers, it's going to allow students to assess their knowledge on sounds, letters, words, phrases, and it will assess the proficiency of students actually speaking into the program. So first I'll do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now it has my voice. And if there's a question that asks for a voice recognition, it'll be used there. Okay, so the first question asks us to say the sound this blend spells. Then listen to Grom, Zam, and Mo. Choose the one that said the sound, and it'll say, And so then you click on the little character, the mascot.
Sul. St.
Sn.
Okay, so Mo said it right. So we'll get this one right. Check our answers. And what I like about this is that
Awesome.
students
You
get
have
to test
everything
their
correct.
answers. So if they get it incorrect, it's going to give them corrective feedback and let them try again. So let's try that here.
Listen to the word that names each picture. Which letters spell the blend at the beginning? Drag the letters to the correct picture.
Snack. Spin. Swim.
So maybe I would have thought this said, And then I'll put this here and I'll get this one right.
Listen carefully to the two sounds at the beginning of each
So it
word.
gives them a little direction.
Which letters spell
and then I get
those
to try
sounds?
again. And it kept my correct one there. Now I just have to flip this. Great, now I got it right.
Awesome.
And you know, the first one had a sound association. The next one connected it to a picture. Now this one is connecting without the picture. So there's a gradual release of responsibility.
St.
And I'll kind of go through some of these just to get us through the practice. Now you're taking that blend and adding it to a word. Then you take those words and you add them to a picture. Again, varied instruction here. So you're engaging with students. They're not able to just click, click, click through these practice opportunities. They have to slow down, listen to the directions, take their time. And then the last question is that voice recognition. So if I click on this and I say, flip, and I check my answer, I got to try
Let's
again.
try.
So it picked up
You
on
missed
that
something.
incorrect.
Let's try again.
Skip. And now it's picked up that I have it
Awesome.
correct.
You have everything correct.
So that's an example of a practice opportunity. And I always like to walk through and show that, to show the voice recognition software tool, to show the corrective feedback, the multiple opportunities for practice. If we were to look at a end of unit assessment, we won't complete this right now, but you'll notice there's quite a few more questions, and students won't get that corrective feedback because it's an assessment. So they get one opportunity, it'll just score it, and teachers will get that data on the back end, which I'll show you in a minute. But let me click through just a couple questions here. Actually, let's not. If anything, I'll show you it when we go back on the other side. It's a little easier to do on the other side. So whether it's a book or a video or a practice opportunity, we also have interim assessments in this program. You can assign students that beginning of year assessment, as well as a mid-year and an end of school year, to really track where they're at with their grade level skills, and to be able to check in 2 other times throughout the year to see how they're doing with those skills. That's a nice sort of growth measure that we have. So the interim assessments, as well as the end of unit assessments. All of this interactivity on the Kids A to Z side is going to show up in a very robust, intuitive reporting side for teachers. So let's head there and I'll show you what that looks like. Any thoughts or comments in the meantime?
Yeah, while we're hopping over to that side, I think, a couple things you called out through that experience. Number one, it's the same environment for the kids. The planets will feel familiar if they've been in that environment before. My son does a lot of building of his avatar using his stars. So anyway, that, same type of game-based elements in terms of the student experience there. It will feel familiar as the students are navigating. It's, as you called out, not another thing to go into, separate of the other products. And then secondly, the gradual nature as you progress through activities, the gradual nature of the instructional component, the gradual nature of that assessment component, the automated corrective feedback. And again, this is just one way that we're engaging with students to help support learning. The teacher would have done their other parts of that lesson plan in advancement of that student, but that constant reinforcement and explicit practice of skills, and then adding in that layer of the voice recognition to assess some of those things. I've seen products, and I think HeadSprout did this a lot, where back in the day, where it would like walk you through a progression to practice, but it didn't record it and spit out feedback like that. So that's new and very cool.
Yeah. And so what's even more exciting is what teachers get on the back end side. And so if you notice, when we first log into this program, you get your teacher dashboard. So you get to see where your students are at in their learning. Student activity is front and center. You can review your assignments. You can look at reports based off of skill, and you can dig into those practice experiences as well as those assessments. For example, if I were to click on a end of unit assessment, you will get data for that student on every single question that was asked. You'll know whether they answered it incorrectly or correctly. And you'll also get very granular information on each question. You're going to know exactly what standard was addressed and what specific skill was addressed in that within that question. It's not just phonics or phonological awareness or fluency, right? You're getting read on level text with purpose and understanding, read and comprehend literary nonfiction, and informational text on grade level. So teachers have a lot of information to inform their instruction in these reports, but that's not all. We've taken it one step further, and we've offered auto-recommended resources based on how students did in that assessment. So the list for teachers is potentially nothing if you want it that way. You can go over here, click on assign, and you can assign the entire library of auto-recommended resources for Brittany, or you could pick specific individual resources and say, you know what, I agree. I'd like her to review this, or I'd like her to practice this particular area. It's going to be there for you. So that auto recommended resources area for me is a game changer as a former teacher in terms of saving time and helping know where to go next as an educator for this particular student. You can always click on scored and view their actual experience in a practice opportunity or an end of unit assessment. And I like scrolling through here to show you the variation in questions that students are asked, and to show you that we are covering all of those strands of learning on the foundational skills side. So this was an answer for that voice recognition tool. And as a teacher, you can listen to the student's answer and you can change the answer if you disagree with it. And I like that autonomy as well. The other questions are going to show up as spelling questions, grammar questions. Here we have a spelling. Here's a fluency passage that they record themselves. This is a main idea question. Back to a set of recording. Choose the correct meaning. You're going to have phonics, phonological awareness. It depends on the grade level with the types of questions that you're getting, but there's lots to love about these assessments and practice opportunities for students. If you look at a higher grade level, which is what we're looking at right now, you're not going to have as much picture support. You're not going to have as much hand holding along the way. But if we look at a grade 1 or a kinder end of unit assessment, it's vibrant and colorful and pictures, and they do walk students through that ability to assess their knowledge with that support and without the support. Same goes for an individual. We were just looking at read words with beginning S lens, for example. You could click into that practice opportunity, review the specific skills that were addressed. You can see here the score that Brittany received, and you can then again click into that environment and really view exactly what Brittany did and did not do. So I'm excited about what these assessments provide for teachers and the ability to kind of inform your instruction moving forward.
Yeah, and I like the opportunity to try and potentially make homework meaningful. I'm not a huge personally educator that put a huge amount of stock into homework, and one of the things that I had a big problem with it is the standardized practice of it. Not everybody needed the same standardized practice. Everyone needs that individualized practice.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to call out, even at the elementary level, while I feel homework should be limited in terms of quantity, wow, how this could actually make something like that extra practice or that extra time valuable for all, because not everyone's going to be pushed the same set of resources by the teacher. Even if you hit select all and push it out to the kids, and that's what fed homework in the areas of literacy and personalized needs. To me, that's one example of the power of technology. That the fact the teacher would not need to go comb through an entire catalog, an entire file cabinet just to find one activity to match this one need. The fact that is automating itself, and by the way, the content is new and updated and aligned to research.
Right.
Great. But even just the ability to do that is pretty magnificent.
Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing that I want to call out here, and you mentioned it at the very beginning of our conversation about how these products have always been designed to really be able to work together. And what we're really talking about here today is this idea of really covering both sides of the rope, all of those strands of learning. When we think about foundational skills, yes, there is a push and emphasis for phonics instruction right now. That word recognition side of the rope is under a microscope, and people are excited and eager to find resources to support it. And what I hope you've seen today is that Foundations A to Z absolutely checked those boxes and covered that need. But we can't forget about the language comprehension side of the rope. And any company out there that is doing it right is thinking about how are they supporting both sides of the rope simultaneously for students, not one and then the other, but together. And so that's where we really want you to think about that knowledge-based learning approach. And when you're in the foundational skills instruction and you're working on decoding, phonological awareness, and sight recognition, you're doing it through that topic-based learning that we were talking about. We focused on an area of art, for example, But as I mentioned, there's areas from content across the curriculum. And what teachers can then do is utilize Raz-Plus for that language comprehension side of the rope. Click over to Raz-Plus. Again, notice no additional login. I'm just hopping over here. And in a matter of seconds, I can type in the word art, and I can have thousands of resources at my fingertips that will be right at grade level based on resource type, fiction, nonfiction, genres, you name it. Teachers have access to that language comprehension side of the rope in now supporting students with vocabulary and verbal reasoning and all of those other pieces by assigning text and resources through Raz-Plus. So I just wanted to make a shameless plug for the ability to use these two products seamlessly together.
Yep, and provide one an environment for both the deliverer, the teacher, the user, the student, and not have it feel foreign and that you're bouncing all over, quite frankly, the universe, is to use an analogy that you guys live in, just to find each individual thing the teachers are trying to push out. So Jen, this has been a tremendously thorough product, but it's been a tremendously thorough walkthrough of the product. I want to thank you for hopping on with me today and giving us the full rundown, because this is brand new. I mean, this just launched. But man, we've been on for an hour and I feel like we could go deeper. And if we had people here, we'd probably have a million questions. But for those that have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, MCIU, a long-standing partner with Learning A to Z. We're happy to offer consortium bundles around a couple different products. We actually have an introductory offer running up to the end of 2022, but I can guarantee that's probably not going to last too much past this year. So if you like what you see and you're interested in getting in on quite frankly, the ground floor of an amazing product, I'd invite you to email me directly. I'm happy to connect you with the Learning A to Z team to facilitate conversations about how foundations can serve your students. Jen, anything you want to share and kind of wrap up? Again, I know we hit a lot today.
We've hit a ton, and I would say that we expect you to have questions. We want you to challenge the status quo. We want you to do your own research. So please reach out to us. We would be happy to do any one of these demos with you, one-on-one, in a live setting, in person, or in a virtual environment. We're so excited to share this product. And so no question is too big of an ask for us. We want to give you what you need, and we want to support you along the way. So please reach out, learn more about it. Myself personally, or any one of my team members would be happy to support you in your journey with Learning A to Z.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for sharing. For those that are seeing this through various avenues that we push out, this is a series called Talking EdTech with MCIU. We do these monthly, every other week, as for those that are out in the marketplace that want to share what's new and great in the market. We would love to speak with you. If you haven't been to the MCIU Learning Network, please go check it out, learn.mciu.org. We are across all the social media networks as well, with the Office of Organizational and Professional Learning. And again, this is just our opportunity to share knowledge, free open access to anybody that's interested in learning about EdTech, SEL, special education, literacy, STEM. We span the gambit on that Learn site. So please check it out. Reach out to me if you have any questions. And once again, thanks for joining me, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Brandon.